Here we go.
New producer.
Hallelujah.
Oh,
Was
Never
it
mind.
5:29 and 30 seconds?
40.
40.
There's 18 seconds. There's always an 18-second delay with the radio.
The thought being, if we say something stupid, we can mute it out, but we don't bother.
Muting. We sure say things stupid.
That's
Rock on. That's good stuff. Welcome to Two
Ball Guys and
Mike. Of course, Two Ball Guys and Mike is a show designed to bring people into the fullness of what they've been called to do so that they can accomplish what they've been called to accomplish. Of course, we're just three normal guys. Three very normal guys who want to, help people change when they don't even know
what they need to change.
or that they need. Right? Of course, Two Bald Guys and Mike brought to you through the financial support of, we're not sure, we're looking for a sponsor. So feel free to send checks to 216net. I'm not good at sales.
In care of Two Ball Guys and Mike. Now, many of you, if you're new to the show, notice I do have hair.
Yeah.
But I do identify as a bald
Oh, for
guy.
many years.
So,
Many
yes.
years you did about
Yeah, that was 8 years, just about 8 years, when we first met and first
Yeah.
started the first show.
And of course, big shout out to Mike Krejci. I'm the producer over here.
producer.
On the buttons, right?
Well,
Giving it
right.
up.
for having me.
Yeah,
And if,
giving it up.
and if he plays it again later, he'll be the reproducer.
That's right. And of course, Mike, as you know, Mike is one of the hosts of the Dream Home Experts. It airs every other Friday, not this Friday. They just had a great show last Friday, 8 p.m. right here, 216 The Net, every other Friday. So check them out. Follow them on TikTok. You're on everything. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah, everything.
YouTube, everywhere. Yeah.
YouTube, yep.
Got their own website. Fantastic. All those buttons are on their website too. If you go to Dream Home Experts, if you visit 216thenet.com and go to their show page, it'll link right there. So you don't even have to look for them. Just go to 216thenet.com. Of course, our page is not on there yet, so don't ask.
Hey, Ted, good to see you.
That's it. Dave, good evening. Glad to have you, brother.
Dave Olson.
There you go. Nice. Let's talk about sponsoring this show. Perfect. Look at that. All you got to do is that. Knock and the door will be open. Asking
Ye shall receive.
whatever. Yeah. Absolutely, Ted. Of course, Ted is the owner of Legal Legacy. This guy's got his hands everywhere. And that's okay because he does a lot of good business.
Well, that's why he has a legal business,
yeah.
because he has his
No,
hands
his last
everywhere.
name is legal.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Literally, it's legal. All right. So listen, and we've been gone a couple weeks. One of the ball guys was I don't know, vacationing or something
Playing in Gatlinburg.
down Tennessee, and then you and I did a show, I think. But then
We
last
did.
week I had my daughter had a basketball game, so we didn't. So we're back, which is great. A lot of stuff happening in the world, and I want to talk about fear, right? The FEAR, fear, is really grabbing hold of a lot of people right now and making this a really strange time and world to live in. Coach,
Yes, sir.
you scared? Are you fearful?
I am not. Now, you and I talked about this earlier. I spent 21 years, most of my military career, right in the middle of the Cold War. We trained to fight against Russian forces. That was all that we thought about and all that we trained against. I knew as much about Russian armament as I did about U.S. armament. And then comes the end of the Cold War, and the walls go down, and that Soviet Union breaks up. And I will tell you, when this first started happening, when they first started mounting and building up their presence on the Ukraine border, I started thinking about that. But then I really started leaning more towards my faith and saying, you know what? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I heard a speaker on Monday morning say, no matter what happens, we win. And that's, I think, the strength of my faith in the face of the fear. Am I worried some could happen and go deeper? Yeah, I am. But at the end of the day, I believe in my Savior, and I believe that no matter what happens, we win.
Okay.
And it does help me battle the fear. But my human brain still has a little bit of anxiety over it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Could I get an amen out there?
Amen.
Hallelujah.
All right, so let's talk about the hundreds of thousands of listeners, people around the globe that don't feel the same way you do. I mean, right? I mean, we're all men of faith here. It's easy to say, right? But there's a lot of people who aren't, and it's not just what's happening in Ukraine, but I mean, there are people who are scared to go out of their house. They have some sort of thing, right? Medical issue. There are people who are afraid of snakes. There's people who are afraid of spiders. They're so small. Spiders are so small. But I'm a huge human being compared to that spider, but I'm scared of the spider, right?
Mm-hmm.
So fear runs a lot of people's life. Fear runs the world.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Did you meet my father?
Then you shouldn't be afraid of anything.
Well, he's dead now.
Right.
I'm not
That's
not
what I'm
afraid of
saying.
him
He was
anymore.
right.
But
So why? Why do we let fear run the world? Why does fear go everywhere? Why does it rule? What is fear?
It's anticipating a negative outcome, I think. Right?
Okay.
Isn't that a
are you asking
me.
or telling?
The guy with the psychology degree over here.
Sounds good to me.
Right?
Yeah, that's about right.
So you're right. So we can get as corny as anybody, right? Hey, it's false evidence appearing real. Face everything and rise.
Forward
right?
edge of the boundary.
If we had our good friend,
Casual.
Dr. Casual Pitts on here, he'd have an acronym for everything. I mean, the guy's brilliant that way. And Casual Pitts, thanks for listening, brother. Absolutely love you. What does Ted say over there, Mike?
Shared. I will listen to the replay. I got jumped off to do something for my wife.
See, fear. Perfect. Right. Whoa, honey. Gotta go, guys. So it's a real thing. Anxiety is a real thing. I'm not saying it's not, but when we are talking about fear and paralysis, and we're talking about, you're right. We're not practicing mindfulness. Right? What's mindfulness? What would you say mindfulness?
Knowing your surroundings, knowing where you're at, knowing what's going on and the situation you're in. You talk about spiders. I've never really been afraid of spiders. Being in Nebraska, they're everywhere. On our honeymoon, we spent the night. I won't go into the whole situation, but we spent the night at my dad's farm on the way home, and he had done a good job.
Great honeymoon,
of,
buddy.
of
Hey,
cleaning.
honey, we're gonna go out to Dad's farm.
It was on our way to where we were going to honeymoon. He'd done a great job of cleaning the room that we stayed in. But the next morning, when I get an elbow in the chest, bam! I'm like, what was that for? She's like, look at the ceiling. There was literally about 600 spiders on the ceiling. He didn't clean the ceiling, and she was scared to death of him, and I didn't know that. And it was a
So you said, well, you probably swallowed two in your sleep.
at least. But why are we afraid of the things we don't know? And that's there's a lot of craziness out there. What is one thing? You got to be afraid of something besides Alice?
Birds. I don't like birds.
You're not a bird guy.
It's legitimate.
Fleas.
Fleas?
No. You.
Yeah.
Ken.
Who?
Fleas.
Fleas.
Fleece.
Oh yeah, fleece. I don't like the feel of fleece.
You're a fear of fleas.
I do have a fear of fleece.
So
That's
what's
my
the
fear.
rationale behind why are you afraid of fleas?
I don't. It's just it makes my skin crawl. I don't know. It's probably something happened when I was a kid. I don't know. See, I started licking my lips and I hate it. Yeah.
But going back to your initial
if-
question,
My kids will try to rub it on me because they know I hate it. I punch them. It's true. Right. And I hate. I'm scared of birds because when I was a little kid, I got attacked by a rooster.
I got attacked by a
Yeah.
rooster, but he became supper.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we killed. No, that one drowned in the pool. The one that always came after me, but that was just a little guy. He jumped up on my shoulders and was pecking my head. The whole works. So any bird, I will grab my children and put them in front of me. If we go to the zoo, I won't even go into the bird thing cage that you walk through. If there's a parrot in a pet store, oh, they don't fly. I don't go in there. I don't care. I don't like birds. Zero.
What
Afraid of
about, what
How
about you,
about
Mike?
bats, Kent?
I don't like bats. See, bats are like mice with wings. I don't like them either.
You got this guy down pat,
Yeah,
don't
he's
you,
known
Mike?
me forever.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't like bats. I could tell you a story about that too. Yeah, Alice probably says it better. Yeah.
Mike, you got any weird
Your
fears?
spiders is a big one for me too.
Really?
My dad used to play that damn movie. What was it? Arachnophobia. All the time when I was younger.
Arachnophobia.
Oh man, those big ass tarantulas. Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first.
that stuck with me.
Arachnids.
Birds was the first movie that I saw at the drive-in
See?
theater.
Yeah.
I was a little kid. Why would you take a little kid to watch
Messes your head
birds?
up,
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
it? Yeah.
no way. Still very vivid.
So why do those things that are obviously, you're in control?
I love to eat them. I mean, eagles taste like chickens.
The bald eagle you had?
Bald eagles, right? America.
Well, wouldn't that be cannibalism?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You were saying.
Going back to your original question, why do these fear control what we do, the choices we make, the places we go? Why is fear in control?
I mean, it depends on what it is, but it becomes this big, overwhelming thing that for some of us we can't get past because the anticipation of this negative event happening, consumes us. It stops us from doing stuff. Why do we do that? Because we're idiots. I don't know.
There it is. That's the show, folks. Thanks for tuning in. You're
Mic
all
drop.
idiots.
Bam. Let me take a note of
No,
that.
well, here's one of my 10 rules to success over here is you have to Mike Crazy, feel free to jump in on this because you are trained in the martial arts in the art of kung fu. But practice mindfulness is one of the steps. Mindfulness means be present here now in the moment. Don't go. Fear is created because you're creating a story that hasn't happened yet. Right. I pull out a gun, hold it point blank. You're starting to go, oh my gosh, he's going to pull the gun. I'm going to die. Blah, 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 blah. Right. You start playing this reel of what ifs. You're not present.
If you don't have first seek to understand before being understood, then you don't understand what you're going into, then you create that fear. So if you are just in control of what you're thinking and you're not afraid, you're not concerned about what the outcome is, you're controlling your outcome.
Yeah.
Releases your fear.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's got a guy.
I'm glad we got a new producer.
Heck yeah.
Where'd you find this guy?
Right.
Well, throughout the course of my military career, there's always these sergeants, these NCOs, battle tested.
Yeah.
And there's gunfire going all over the place, and they're just like walking right through it. It's like, how can you do that, man? These bullets, they might hit you. I said, you know how small that bullet is? You know how terrible of an aim they are? They're not going to hit me. And they've walked through it with that thing. Everybody else is, head down.
Right.
We had low crawl underneath live machine gun fire. And boy, they scared the heck out of us, when they're talking about it. There's a tracer coming every fourth round. So as you're low crawling on your back under this, you're watching these live rounds going overhead. And it is one of the scariest moments. But one of the things the one sergeant said, he says, just, as you're going under, just think about happier times. Think about fireworks and 4th of July. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Going back to what you said. Right. But you're scared. And one guy was getting real claustrophobic under there. And he's like, I got to stand up. I got to stand up. And, all of a sudden the drill sergeants are ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. And this guy stood up literally seconds after the ceasefire and ran off. And it's like fear took control of him.
Interesting.
Wyatt Earp did that. A crit.
Right.
He just walked right out there. Bullets wrapping all around him. They're like,
Right.
I don't believe it. Right? Go Wyatt Earp.
They're blanks.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But see, that makes me think what you just said, that fear, it has to be interpreted just like everything else. Because in that case, when you're laying underneath bullets flying overhead, that fear is keeping you from popping your head up and getting shot and killed. But then there's other circumstances where the fear is keeping you from doing something that you need to do. So there's healthy fear, and there's different kinds of fear, ways to interpret it, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I would. Yeah. I guess you're right. Right. I mean, I don't drink the poison because I'd be afraid to die.
Right. Right.
Right.
So we can't just blanket fear that all fear is either good or bad.
Interesting.
Let's just recently, when COVID first started happening, and fear put its grip on the entire world,
Mhm.
right? If you don't wear a mask, and later on, if you don't get vaccinated, and fear, was any of it real?
Put it.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. The outlets that broadcasted, not here on 21.6 Net. You're right. Yeah, did instill a lot of fear. You got something there, Mike. Where we go? Hey, Shayna.
Attachment to outcome can keep us in a constant state of fear, anxiety. Hi.
Yep. So the
Hi,
attachment
Shayna.
to outcome. So that's
Mm.
what you're saying. Hey, the attachment to that outcome is if I pop my head up, I'm going to catch a bullet in the temple.
Right.
Right. And oh my gosh, I'm scared because I've never really been in this position before, but I'm just going to keep my head down.
Right.
You know?
It's just a good choice.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be fear. It just, it's.
I mean, thank God your experience wasn't to jump up and be a ballerina because you were so excited about the fireworks you were thinking of, right? Hey, that's what I do. I dance and right. So I think that attachment to the outcome, but a lot of times we don't know what that outcome is.
Right.
Right.
But I think our point is to this meeting today, this show, is how do we get control of that?
Yeah.
How
Oh,
well, do you want to get control of your fear of birds? Are you happy
big
putting your
bottle of
kids
bourbon.
putting your kids in front of you? It looks like tea, but it's
Yeah.
really a little blackjack going down there. How do we control or contain? How do we operate in the midst of the fears that we have?
Right. I think we would need to spend more time rationalizing it, because I think so much of society places this, idealization of getting rid of fear and trying to eliminate it.
Yeah.
But, in a lot of cases, it's not about getting rid of the fear. It's about, kind of, reading into it and seeing, is this something that I need to be afraid of, or why am I afraid of this? And I mean, some things maybe I don't need to worry about. It doesn't really matter if I'm afraid or not. Like you said, sticking your hand in the fire. I'm kind of afraid of doing that, but I don't need to not be afraid of it. I don't want to stick my hand in the fire regardless.
Just
of
a
what
good
I'm
choice,
doing.
right?
Right.
What
That's
was
dead air right there.
What was the question?
You can't.
Yeah. So I think the way you handle it is you have to take a deep breath and assess the situation. Be present. Practice mindfulness. What is going on right now? A lot of times this year already, just in my own personal challenges and goals, I ask that question a lot. Why am I thinking this way right now? Why does this bother me?
Right.
I'm really trying to practice mindfulness. Why, what's happening right now? I'm not worried about tomorrow, but what is creating this feeling inside of me? And is it justifiable? Right now, I can go back to when I was in a bank robbery, held point blank with a gun to my face. Right. And I can see the guy's eyes through his face mask, and I can see the hole of the gun pointed right at me. And it was a big hand cannon. I mean, it was a big one. And I didn't really have time to think. I became really mindful at that point, like, I better listen to this fella. Right. And the only thing that went through my head was, okay, here it is. And God and I got real close, got real religious real fast. He and I got real close, had a good conversation. And I don't even think I had time to be scared, because I had to think, what is happening right now,
Interesting.
right? And unfortunately, I didn't die, right? I didn't get shot because a buddy of mine saw the pictures. Like, yep, that would have split your head like a canoe. So, yeah. would have passed through your head about the size of my fist. He said, "I'm like, oh, geez, great, thank you."
Glad I know that now.
Yeah,
Shana
yeah.
says we want to believe we have control.
Yep.
And then Tim, hey, that's you.
How are you?
Mindfulness is being present in the moment. That's what it is. What is happening right now? Not what's going to happen. Not what the outcome is. What is happening right now? Why do I feel the way that I do? Why am I? I would ask principals of schools. I still do. If a student gets called to your office, do they get excited because you're a teacher, or are they afraid of you? What is that anxiety that builds, right? Now, anytime I got called to the principal, it was always anxiety, like, oh shit, did I?
Here we go again.
Did I deserve it this time? That's who I was.
There was no question in my mind. I deserved it.
But a lot of principals in our education system have worked a lot. They've got good education, but they don't instruct anymore. They're there as wardens. They're there as the rule holders, right? So if you get called down to the principal's office, it's not a good thing. Why is that? Right? That's interesting to me.
But it could be a good thing.
It could be.
And everybody goes to a negative. We
Yeah.
have so many negative thoughts every day that you need to control those, and that will help your fear.
Right.
I think it's like 10,000 negative thoughts a day is what an average person has.
Yeah.
And if you can start paring those down, that helps tremendously, and focus on a more positive light.
Well, it's 10,000 thoughts a day. 10 to 50,000 thoughts a day are the numbers I've seen. But your perspective on life controls the positivity or negativity of those thoughts. If you're a person who lives a life looking for good things to happen, your thoughts are going to be mostly positive.
Mhm.
On the flip side of that, with all the garbage going on in the world today, everything we're being fed in, one of my idols and mentors, Zig Ziglar, says, if I walked into your house right now and dumped 5 gallons worth of garbage on your floor, you'd do one of 3 things. You'd either kick my tail right there on the spot, you'd grab a gun and say, hey, Ziglar, clean this up, or you'd call the police on me. But we allow the world to dump tens of thousands of gallons of garbage into our head. And what are we doing to overcome it? Now, say he dumps that garbage in and you don't know who did it, and you go in to clean it up. First thing you do is you put the big gloves on, you get all the big stuff into the bag, and then you get the little stuff, and then you wipe up the mess, and then you disinfect and push. That's positive influence. I know you read at least a book a month. You're constantly trying to feed positive.
I've read 20 some books already this year.
Right?
Yeah.
Feeding that positive in. And when we get the positive in, the thoughts coming through are going to be far more positive. You said earlier you create havoc. And yeah, you do.
I like to do that.
But
I like to get people to think.
But you do it for a purpose, not just to get under their skin, although you do.
Depends who. Yeah.
Right, but it's the purpose is I want you to think, I want you to overcome, I want you to get outside of that box you're living in and become who you are designed and created to become.
Right. And Jana, Santa says that's good advice to reduce that. And we aren't aware of most of it. No, it's true. But here's the thing, though: we are attracted to that feeling.
Yeah. Because we know how to survive there.
Because I have had several conversations with people. I mean, I talk for a living. I do sales for a living. I've had several conversations with people this past week that have told me, man, I just can't get enough of what's happening over in the Ukraine. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. I don't know anything what's going on over there. What? How can you do that? I'm like, I've got better things to do than kind of ingest my life with the war is not good, people. I mean, this isn't a reality show, right? I'm just sitting here like, I don't have time to put that kind of information into my life or my body because it will stress you out.
Yeah.
I mean, and stress is not good. Stress is linked to a lot of cancer. Stress is linked to a lot of illnesses, right? But so many people drive for that because of that. Man. I mean, take a look at the last 2 years. All we have to say is the V word. We won't here,
Yeah.
right? But how many arguments?
Vacation.
How many arguments did this cause? Now we're to the end of the mandates for facial coverings.
Mhm.
How many arguments has that caused? Who cares? Right? Listen, you want to wear underwear on your head and run around and sing hallelujah, do it. Right? I don't care. Right. Hey, look at this guy. That's good.
Feel better?
Just keep your hands up like this. You getting ready for surgery, doctor?
Can I put it over my ears?
Right. So people seek out garbage to be afraid of. It's
Yeah.
horrible. I don't get it.
Why do we like to do that? Maybe that's a deeper
Well,
question.
there-
Why are we so drawn to that?
There's three basic types of motivation or inspiration. There's fear-based,
Yep.
right? Fear-based says if you don't do this, if you don't clean your room, you're not getting the car for your
Yeah.
date on Saturday night. Fear-based has a negative outcome based on performance. There's incentive-based, right? If you will clean your room, I'll give you $5. Well, that's good as long as they're hungry. But once a kid starts making $20 an hour, they don't want your $5 for cleaning the room. They don't care, right? But the best motivation, the true motivation, is growth-based, improvement-based. Are you a little bit better today than you were yesterday? You're moving forward? We get stuck in this fear because we've been around the principles. How many of us have had a negative boss at work? How many of us have had a negative client we've
Everybody
had to
who's
deal
worked for
with?
me, keep your comments to yourself. Now is not the time to share.
But if we can get past the fear, whether it's spiders or birds or height or war in the Ukraine, if we can pass the fear, we can actually start achieving. But how do we get past the fear? I mean, I look at the psychologist in the room and say, "Hey, help us."
Dana, how are you, sister?
He's a psychologist.
That's right.
He is now. I just
Good old
Dana.
I know. That's what I said. How are you, sister? Great to see you. Ah, yes. The positivity. That's the word.
keep it flowing.
No, yeah. So what do you
Like a
say? What do you say,
river.
psychologist?
What was the question? We got to go back.
That's the one. Squirrel.
How? And I think I mentioned it. How do we get past the fear to achieve? Why do we have a job? A fear of bankruptcy. We got to have money coming in, right? How do we get past the fear to become who, using your words, created to become?
Success lies just on the other side of your fear.
Yeah.
No matter what it is.
Right.
So
Right.
how do we get there?
So I moved into a new home this couple months ago, and the previous owners of the home were great people. They loved birds. I have literally in my new house, I have literally 8 bird houses around my yard and my house.
They didn't take him with them.
Did not. They didn't ask me if they wanted to keep them. So I'm out there this morning, and there's a lot of birds. It's turning into spring. It's a nice day, and I said to myself, I go, and I'm just looking at this going, but I looked at it and I said, you know what? Here's the real deal. Who am I to go and take these birds' house away from them? That's exactly what I said. And I told myself, because I'm being mindful right then, I go, I'm going to have to learn to live with these birds. They were here before I was, right? I don't know if they were or not. I don't know. I don't study birds. I don't like them. I'm just saying that there's a lot of birds now around my house. You're like, hey, you got a purple whooper thing back there. I'm like, I don't know what that means. Oh man, they'll eat with mosquitoes. He's excited. That's a great birdhouse, and it's like a condo. There's
It's a condo about 20 feet in the air.
Right.
What are the purple martins?
Now, the great thing is, my 2 dogs chase these birds all over.
Get a cat.
There is a birdhouse that's a little bit low, and my dog tries to get up to see if there's a bird in there, right? Now I'm going, well, I'm going to have to get out there and move this thing, because if these birds have little babies, then these 2 dogs are going to eat the babies. It's just the way it's going to happen.
Feed the birds.
Yeah.
Feed the birds.
So I sit here, and the only way that I'm going to truly be able to enjoy my house is I have to overcome my fear.
Okay.
Right. I have to face it. I have to go through it. Right. And I love, my yard is beautiful. I love this new house. I'm humbled and blessed to have it. And I can see having friends over and enjoying this place. But at the same time, towards the universe, if I go in and smash all these birdhouses and get out of my yard, that's bad juju, right? I would be afraid of what the universe would say or do. So the interesting thing is, I have to, and I have to go, I'm scared of these birds because I was attacked by a rooster when I was a kid. I've eaten enough chickens in my 53 years of life to call it even now, right? Doesn't mean that if one swoops at me, I won't freak out, right? But the other thing is I have to go, all right, you're 53 years old, quit being a pussy, right? And just face it and move. And that's what you have to do.
So now, do you have spider houses in your?
Yeah.
No, they're all gone.
Chopin pest control. Right.
But now, so there's different kinds of fear, right? Again, where like that kind of thing, where you can go back and you can rationalize it and be like, okay, and I can break this down and take it. But now there's certain, obviously, situations that you face where the fear of something negative happening is very real, or it's statistically, I mean, it's high. So then, I mean,
Give me
how
an
do you?
example?
Okay, let's say, back in war days for Tim over here, when he's, when you're climbing through the trenches, when there's something that you got to do and you got to get up and you got to move and you got to go through an enemy territory, there's a good chance that you could get shot, you could lose your life. I mean, statistically, and that's probably going to be pretty high. But there's a point where you have to go, okay, if I stay here, this could be worse than if I get up and move. And in some way you have to come to terms with that. And it's like, rationalize that in your head, but it's not diminishing it in a way that this fear isn't realistic, because it still is, right? So that's a little bit different.
During training, I always had this thought, I'm going against blank rounds, blank ammunition.
Right.
It's I can do anything, and I'm actually not going to get hurt because it's just blanks. Pow, 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 pow. They came out with a MILE system, multiple integrated laser engagement system, where you wore all these. It was basically a laser tag for the Army, right?
And that, my friends, is where all your tax money goes.
But if a round came close to you, it would beep, beep. If the laser beam impacted two or more receptors on the vest or the head harness you wore, it would go beep, and you were dead. Right? Wasn't really dead, but you had to go. The guy had the God gun with the green key. He had to go be reset so you could get back in the battle. And it brought a level of realism to it that really forced, before I was like John Wayne, right? But now if I didn't keep my head down, I didn't get to play anymore. And it really it brought that realness to it. And so there's a realness to our fears that we have to get over: the birds, the spiders, the snakes, and there's a song there someplace.
That's right.
But
Well,
go, you got something to say.
to answer that question, it's your mission. I'm not going to drink the poison because my mission is to live a long time. Right? I am going to drink that poison because I want to end my life. I'm not scared of it. Right? Why do people kill themselves? They've obviously overcome the fear.
They've hung out with you too much
of dying.
Interesting.
Right? So it depends what the mission is. So when those we'll use Ukraine right now because people love the Ukrainians. When those first missiles and the invade started, you were scared. Well, now we gave you guns and you're locking arms, and grandmas are out there defending their country. Oh, very patriotic, right? Well, what's your mission? Some people fled. Some people are trying to get out. Some people are like, no, I'll dig my heels in right here and I'm fighting for my home. So it really depends on what your mission is. So, if your mission, if you're not afraid to jump out of a plane, you certainly will. If you're smart, you'll wear a parachute. If it's in the air. I mean, if it's on the ground, you can jump out whenever you want, right? But so the idea is, my mission is to live. I'll make sure that I take the precautions to stay alive. And when I skydive, Scott Giles, who does the grounds on Friday morning, 7:30, right here, 21.6 the net, is he likes skydive. I'm like, I'd never jump. I don't. You won't. If the plane's not going down, I'm not jumping out of it. Ah, man, you'll love it. It's such a rush. I go, nope, don't want to. Am I scared to? No, maybe not. Right? Because my understanding is once you step out of the plane, if you fall off your roof, you hit the ground. After that first 2 seconds, you're still free falling. You're like, oh, wait a minute, this is
pretty cool,
right? Anytime I've fallen, the ground stops me, right? And there's a certain amount of time that happens. So once you get past that, your body goes, hey, wait a minute, we didn't hit anything, and now it becomes euphoric, right? So the same reason why people do marathons and things. You're always challenging mentally. You're challenging yourself. Your brain is designed to figure things out, to solve problems, to keep you alive, right? If we had to think about, oh my gosh, I haven't breathed in 2 minutes, right? So our brain is designed to solve problems and keep us alive. So it depends what the mission is, and what I'm scared of, right? My mission is to enjoy my home. Guess what? I got to share that with the beasts that are there, right? Now,
let's not talk about Alice that way.
Oh, I did not say that. That was your good friend, Coach Papa. So I think, yes, there are bad things, but what is your mission?
For me, it was about respect. In 21 years, I never jumped out of an airplane because I did a little research and found out about the hundreds of thousands of dollars they put into each pilot to train them how to land an airplane. And it was disrespectful for me to jump out of that craft. I believe I trust you, and I believe you're going to land this plane or this helicopter at a.
Jen says, "Oh, really? I see it as an extended panic attack with impending doom at the end. Never skydived before."
Yes, but you married Mike, so
you're free falling already. So I think as we talk about fear and why we allow it to control us or paralyze us or whatever, is we do a lot of things out of pain and pleasure, right? Those are the two reasons why we do something. Out of pain or pleasure. We know it's going to hurt, so we try to avoid it, or we really like it. I can build up a scenario in my brain on how bad this is going to go, so that maybe knowing, if I was practicing mindfulness, maybe knowing it's not going to be so bad. There's really no reason for me to be anxious right now, right? But after I go and talk or do that, I go, hey, that was good. That wasn't so bad. I feel good. So do we, maybe in our mind, we create this bad story because we like the pleasure at the end.
And I like what you said earlier, and tying it to what you said now, is we attach ourselves to the negative outcome. What if we could learn and plan to attach ourselves to a positive outcome, to expect the positive? How many free throws, how many state championships did you win in your driveway? Thousands shooting that free throw and being mentally prepared. And then when you got to the line in the actual state championship, how did you do?
I didn't get to play in the state championship. We did win 1987 state champs. And the Hounds are going back to state this year. It's first time since 1987. So good job. Nice. Just beat the number 1 or number 2 team in state. They were 22-0. They beat them last night, 55-40 something. So nice job. Anyway, that's sports. There's our break for sports. But
traffic and weather on the hours.
But then, if I tie it to the positive outcome and it's negative, I'm let down.
And if you're, and I like what you're saying, because my mother-in-law has said this for years. If I think about all the bad things that happen, they don't happen, I feel good.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
But people who expect success and they move forward and they tie it to the positive outcome, and maybe it doesn't come out perfectly, but it's probably going to come out better than had you not had the positive expectations.
Possibly.
Possibly.
That's how I live most of my life.
Yep.
I've always tried to focus on the positive, even if it's negative stuff going on. I try to focus on that positive. But being around people that are in that negative loop, and if you got multiple ones that keep an infinity negative vibe going on, that it's hard to
It is hard.
keep yourself out of that.
We've known several people like that.
Yeah.
And some of them at this table, we won't mention any names.
Okay.
And probably a lot of that comes from it changes the way that I operate. If I'm in fear of a negative outcome versus like if I'm believing that something good is going to happen, the way that I act is going to change, and that's going to change my
I think
Whatever.
Jen misspelled LOL with LOO, and if she knew it, the Lou. So, hey, hi Nicole, how are you?
So so I'm thinking that we choose to create stories. We, as a people, a human being people, we like to live our life in fear. Because if we didn't, we wouldn't be in a constant state.
But we don't like to live our life in fear. We know how to survive in fear. We don't like it, but we know how to survive in it. I think there's a difference there because nobody likes to be afraid. I mean, there are people who you go to Halloween things, but you go to Halloween things knowing that, just like the blank rounds in the army training, right? They're not going to hurt me.
No.
Those aren't real eyeballs. They're grapes, right? But we don't like to live in fear, but we know how to survive in fear. So our brain keeps us in that mode because we know how to.
I broke it. That was great. I was wondering. That was good. See, it's been a long time.
It's been a while, but
I got
that
it.
was just that was
Yeah. So, but here's the issue, and this is what two
bug guys and
Mike
is all about: is why do we settle for surviving? We should be thriving. We should be living our best life. We should be creating. We should be tiptoeing through the tulips.
because we don't know our mission. We don't know our goals.
Give me some.
Yeah, there you go.
That's good.
So you're saying we don't know our why?
Isn't that interesting? And now we flash back to our very first show.
Interesting. I think I said that. You guys, you know your why.
You just choose not to do it.
There we go. Right. So interesting, right? So yeah. So maybe at the point in time we don't know the mission, right? We're running on. We're on the back end of this, but
Let's go ahead and record next week's show right on the tail of this one.
but the deal is, what do you do, right? How do you let your day run you, or do you run your day? Right. So literally, and this is just me, and it's crazy. Before I go to bed, I look at what tomorrow is, what holds for tomorrow. Right. I look at my calendar. I'm like, okay, here's what holds tomorrow. The first thing I do when I wake up, I look at my calendar and go, what do I have today? Right. And all right, it's going to be a good day. Let's go get it. Right. And good morning, Lord, instead of good Lord's morning. And let's go get it. And how you face that. Now there are things that pop up that it happens. That's life. Right. But I run my day. I run my day. I've read a few books this year, and the most successful and happy people understand and value their time, and they own it. And they don't let people steal it from them.
And the famous quote from Mike Tyson when fighting Evander Holyfield said, "Everybody's got a great plan until they get punched in the face."
That's right.
And I'm sure you say you run your day, but when that client calls up with an issue that just popped up, are you really running the day?
Absolutely.
Okay. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. I'd love to. We don't have time. No, truly I am. Because of the way that I run my day, I schedule time for these one-offs, right? So if I were to pull up my calendar and show you, I actually schedule time for these one-offs, or there's empty time because I know things happen, right? But at the same time, I'm okay by telling that person, hey, I'm right in the middle of something, and this is a client. I'm going to wrap that up, and then I'll get to what you're asking me to do, and I'll get it to you here, right? And a lot of people are appreciative about that. Instead of me dropping what I'm doing to focus on, right? So as I was a young guy, they always said, focus on what's important, not urgent.
What's important now? Yeah.
What's important, not urgent. I didn't
Right.
understand what that means. Now I'm starting to understand, okay, I was working with this client over here. This is what's important because I set time in my day to work this. This popped up. It's urgent. But as long as I can control it and say, hey, listen, coach, I appreciate the call. I'm right in the middle of something. Let's figure this out real quick on the call. And then I'll work on it and I'll give you a call back or I'll send you an email or whatever the case may be. Right. So and here's the other thing. What are you teaching yourself? What are you putting in your mind? I can't turn off this. Pick up a book, start reading, try to improve yourself.
All right, we're in that last minute. Let's wrap this up. Wrap up thoughts on fear, Mr. Mike.
Fear sucks.
That's it.
Creates vacuum at the
Maybe writing 100 scenarios in your head makes you feel braced for the worst. What's the next one, Mike, down there?
best quote ever. Mike Tyson's, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, what do you think? So I thought she was talking about what I just
She
said.
was. Kent, she was. So, oh Lord, it's hard to be humble.
Here's the deal with fear. It's going to exist. You either are going to choose to practice mindfulness and be present and understand what your mission is
Mm-hmm.
and follow through with your mission,
Mhm.
or you're going to allow the crazy stories that you are creating in your head, the what if scenarios, and expect the worst. And that's no way to live. Simple as that.
Come back to what you said earlier. We're all idiots.
Yeah. Yeah, keep your mind moving forward. Absolutely.
Stay not
Jeff.
fear. Keep your
Absolutely.
mind moving forward.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Tell you what, everybody, we can't thank you enough for getting caught in the net with us here. 21-6 the net. This is
Two ball guys and
Mike. Oh, sorry.
Let's try that again. Two ball guys and
Mike.
that's better.
And of course, big shout out to the producer tonight,
Mike
Mike
Ritchie.
Ritchie, Dream Home Experts.
Thank
Check
you.
them out every other Friday. Good work, guys. Come back. I don't know.
Friday
morning.
Friday
We got
afternoon,
shows all
Tuesday
the
morning.
time. Tune in to 21-6 net. Like us, follow us on YouTube. Subscribe. Ring the bell so you can get alerted when we are on the air.
Amen. Get off the bench. Get back in the game.